Welcome back to Double Down University. I'm back with you guys with another NFL Prospects video. And what's better than having NFL football on Sunday? It is Monday. Monday Night Football we have for you guys tonight. We have the Carolina Panthers going up against the New Orleans Saints and the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Cleveland Browns. So I have 6 props for you guys today, but essentially it's 5, and we're going to kind of use the same method as we used yesterday with our cover boy Keenan Allen and his 2 props, and be able to hedge and be able to throw one in one slip and the other in another slip as well to be able to hedge your profit. But yesterday we came out with a sweep and we were undefeated on all of our props hit, even the hedge with Keenan Allen with his receptions as well as his targets. So let's hopefully keep that momentum rolling into Monday Night Football. So let's get it started. So the first pick I have for you guys is Juwan Johnson over 25.5 receiving yards. The next one is Allen Robinson over 31.5 receiving yards, as well as Allen Robinson over 7.5 fantasy score. And we also have Derek Carr over 19.5 completions, and Nick Chubb over 81.5 rushing yards, as well as Adam Thielen, last but not least, over 2.5 receptions. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is the head of the Carolina Panthers' super young and inexperienced wide receiving core, as they have Terrence Marshall, Jonathan Mingo, who is a rookie who has played exceptional in his short time in this offense, as well as Laviska Shenault. But the 2 reasons why I really like this play is, for one, Adam Thielen last week, he's ran an ADOT, which is the average depth of target, meaning how many yards per route are they running. Like, are they running deep down the field where it's 30 yards down the field, or are they running like short routes where they'll be able to come back to the ball if the quarterback gets in trouble. So his ADOT was 4.5, which is really, really good for somebody in the slot. So that shows that they're dependable to be able to come back and be able to help the quarterback out, evade pressure, or just, if somebody down the field isn't open, and somebody he can just dump off to and check it down to. So that is a really, really good boost to him as well. And then also he's going up against Taylor. So Taylor against the Titans last week, out of the 7 attempts to throws in the slot, he has given up 5 completions, and all we really need is 3. So he's given up 5, which is terrible. He's given up a 71% completion percentage when thrown in his direction, as well as giving up 7.4 yards per pass attempt thrown his way. So I really, really like this matchup as well for him. And then also the bonus too is that the Saints will probably try to pressure Bryce Young into throwing the ball, getting the ball out quick, and try to fluster him with a bunch of pressure. So he's going to be having to throw it short and throw it to some of his receivers to be able to get some yards after the catch. So I think Thielen is really in a great spot here, especially playing in the slot where he can either just easily come across on a slant or any type of in-breaking route that come across the face of the defender where Bryce can see him in the middle of the field, or even the out-breaking route, where Bryce can just get some little quick, easy, on-pace timing stuff to get his confidence up and get him going. So I really, really like Thielen. And then also another boost to Thielen as well is the game script. They are a 3-point underdog, so more than likely they will be throwing the ball late, trying to catch up to the Saints and try to either tie the game or try to get some points back to keep the game close. So I like that as well. Moving on to Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson is the same thing, but flip reverse to the Saints side of the field on offense. So with him, he played majority of his snaps in the slot, as he's had 19 reps in the slot last week, which leads all Saints receivers. He does play tight end, so he will be more so either attached to the formation as an inline tight end or detached from the formation as a slot receiver, as I just previously mentioned. But for him, last year, he done really, really well against the zone, against zone defenses, and I think that under Frank Reich, that is what they're trying to employ, as I've watched the tape and seen like how their coverages are last week against the Falcons. So they played a lot of zone, more so than man, and in that particular scheme of just playing zone, he's done really, really well, as he's averaged 1.63 yards per route ran, which was 9th last year of all tight ends in the league. So I really, really like him to be able to get some underneath stuff and quick stuff to Derek Carr. And then it also is in correlation to his pass completions for Derek Carr. So you can correlate them two together and have them in the same slip and not have to worry about any type of negative correlation. And then also the boost of, the Panthers having to be concerned about the outside receivers of Olave and Michael Thomas, as well as the guy Rasheen in the slot as well, who plays in the slot too as well. So I really, really like him to be able to get 26 yards in this matchup. So I think this is a really, really good matchup for him as well. And then moving on to Derek Carr. Derek Carr, pretty much self-explanatory. We think they're going to be the favorite. He's in a really good spot going up against the Carolina Panthers, who last year they were 22nd in the NFL and pass completions allowed, giving up 22 pass completions per game. So he's in a really good spot with that. And then last week he had 23 completions on his 33 attempts, throwing for 305 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. But looking back on some of his stats from the last 2 years, he's only missed this line of 19.5 7 times in his last 33 games. Last year going 10 for 15, and the year before that in 2021 going 16 of 18 of going over this 19.5 line. So I really, really like this spot for him as well. I don't think they will run the ball too much as they're missing their big key piece in Alvin Kamara. So I think that Williams, he will get his touches, but I don't see him, getting anywhere between a workhorse type of number where he's getting 17, 18 attempts. Also keep an eye on Keandre Miller and making sure that he's not in the lineup, because if he is, they will kind of use him as well as, get him some carries as well. But I think he's more of a receiving threat as well out of the backfield due to his time at TCU. I think he was more of a receiving threat as well as a runner too, but more of a receiving threat. So they have 2 running backs that they can play, in the shotgun, and have 2 of those running backs out there where they can run swing routes and be able to get any type of, quick short passes to help out Derek Carr as well. So I really, really like Derek Carr's completions. Moving on to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, he is in a great, great spot. His career last year versus the Steelers was really, really good, as I'll show you guys. So against let's go to opponent. Let's sort this by opponent. So against Pittsburgh last year in week 18, he only had 12 rushing attempts, but he had 77 yards and 12 rushing attempts, as well as 5 catches for 45 yards and a receiving touchdown. And then in week 3, which week 18, they were kind of, I don't know if they made the playoffs last year, but they were kind of either in it or kind of out of it. So they didn't kind of risk them too much and run them too much. So I would take with a grain of salt that last matchup in week 18. But the fact that he's got that short amount of volume and been able to put up 77 yards is impressive. But in week 3, I think it was, in week 3, here it is, he rushed for 113 yards and 1 touchdown on 23 carries. And another bonus why I picked this too as well is Cameron Hayward is going to be out for the foreseeable future. So he is a big run stuffer. He's a big part of their run defense, as he has been for years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I really, really like that they're missing him to be able to get some holes up front to be able to block for him. And then they allowed 157 to Christian McCaffrey last week with a 49ers offensive line that is good, but I think that the Browns offensive line is much better than the 49ers. Some people may call me crazy, but that's just my opinion. That's just watching them play. And then also their head coach is more of a established to run first and pass off of that type of coach. As you can see, with a lot of his attempts, you see he's getting a lot of attempts. Nick Chubb, as you can see, 17, 24, 17, 23, 21. So they will look to get him established first before they go and throw the ball all over the yard with Deshaun Watson. So, and then it also only helps the offense too as well. If you're able to run the ball, it makes the play action that much more effective. So I really, really like him in this spot. He averages 5.4 carries against the Steelers last year. So I really, really like that. And that's super elite, for somebody to get 5 yards of carry, especially in the NFL. So I really like Nick Chubb in this spot. I think it previously been bumped up by 1. It was just at 80.5, so they just bumped it in my time, taking the time to record the video. They bumped them up a yard, so I don't think that is too much of a disadvantage. As we seen yesterday with Christian Kirk, they bumped him up from 40.5 to 43.5 at the time I was recording. So Not saying that is great news, but it's good news, especially like with the low spread. They should be able to keep the game close, and they should always be able to have him to run the ball, being so the game is close, so it won't be out of contention where they have to throw the ball all over the yard to try to catch up and keep up. And they are the favorites as well. So I really, really like that spot for him. And then last but not least, Mr. Allen Robinson. So for Allen Robinson, I like him in this matchup. And same thing as the previous matchups that I previously stated, is that he is not going to be drawn with Denzel Ward as his matchup. Denzel Ward will take the matchup of George Pickens. So with that being said, he will be more played predominantly in the slot. As you can see, let me see if I can show you guys his alignment. So last week his alignment was, he had 42 snaps in the slot, which is really good. And as I touched on with the previous two receiver props, is that playing in the slot, you can kind of get easy completions over the middle and help the quarterback out. It's almost equivalent to having a tight end to be able to be the quarterback's safety blanket or best friend, because you're closer to the quarterback to be able to come back and get the ball. But going up in this matchup against, I think he should draw Newsome, if I'm not mistaken. They don't have Newsome up here, but he should draw Newsome. And he has a 2-inch advantage, height advantage on Newsome, as well as a 30-pound weight advantage on Newsome. So he should be, and then knowing him, because I'm a big Penn State fan, so I've watched him his whole career. Last year was a kind of pretty much a down year for him, as he's had to play second fiddle to Cooper Kupp. And if anybody knows the Rams and the Rams offense, it's almost like you're playing the Rams last year were playing Madden on just offense only, where they're just working out one receiver and a quarterback, where Matthew Stafford just throw the ball to Cooper Kupp at all costs, don't even really get any of the other receivers involved. So I thought that was pretty much a bad situation for him. But he is overall a 3-time 1,000-yard receiver. So he is not like he couldn't play or he regressed last year. So I think the value is there. I think this is a disrespectful line to him, and especially based on the injury to Deontay Johnson, who is another Steelers wideout, who is their most dependable receiver, in my opinion, that I think, just watching him play. As Pickens is good, he shows flashes of being elite, but he's not consistent enough week in and week out. So I think this is a really, really good spot for Allen Robinson to be able to go over this line of 31.5. And the reason why I hedged him with his fantasy, because I think he has the potential to score a touchdown tonight, as well as rack up a bunch of catches to be able to go over this line of 7.5 fantasy score, which I think is pretty low for a receiver. So I really, really like Allen Robinson in this spot, whether it's his receiving yards and his fantasy score. So those are the picks that I have for you guys today, and I'll go back over them. I have Juwan Johnson over 25.5 receiving yards. I have Allen Robinson over 31.5 receiving yards, as well as Allen Robinson over 7.5 fantasy score. Derek Carr over 19.5 completions, and Nick Chubb over 81.5 rushing yards, and Adam Thielen over 2.5 receptions. I appreciate you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep this good luck going. Let's hopefully pull off another sweep tonight. Best of luck to you guys. And I will see you guys next time.